This video is going to be a comprehensive guide to Risk of Rain 2 for beginners in 2021. Risk of Rain 2 is an excellent game, but it's very overwhelming to new players. It doesn't do a great job of explaining its mechanics. It just chucks you right in. No lube, no foreplay, no nothing. This guide is intended for brand new players that just installed the game and have no clue what they're doing, or people that want help unlocking items and characters. But I'm also going to clear up a massive misconception about the game that even experienced players still believe. I'm going to start off with very basic information about how the game works and the stuff the game should probably tell you, and I'll get more advanced later in the video. So if you already know how to play the game, you should still hopefully learn something new. I have like 1700 hours in this game, so I'm kind of gamer. Well, I don't know if I'd go that far. Gamer's a strong word. But I'm still finding new things almost every day. I'll leave timestamps in the description if you want to skip around. Risk of Rain 2 has a few different endings, but the basic principle of the game is you start out on stage 1 as a very weak man, but as you kill enemies and collect items from chests, you become increasingly powerful and get mad gains until you become a god and nothing can touch you. When you first start the game, you won't have anything unlocked. You'll have two choices of character, Commando and Huntress. Both are great for beginners. Commando is very basic and really easy to get the hang of. Huntress is a little more advanced, but has an auto-aim mechanic that will allow you to focus on other things. It's really up to personal preference, so try them both out, see how you feel. When you first start a run, monsters spawn periodically and will drop gold and experience upon death. Gold is used to buy chests that give you a random item that will make you more powerful in some way, shape, or form. There's a teleporter on each stage that once activated will spawn a boss that upon defeating will either drop a green or boss-specific yellow item. You'll also have to charge the teleporter, which takes 90 seconds. After that, you can interact with the teleporter to go to the next stage. You repeat this process 3 more times until you get to stage 5. Stage 5 has 3 different outcomes. You'll notice the teleporter looks a little different in this stage. Doing nothing and going through the portal when it looks like this will take you to the final boss and end your run. Interacting with the side of the teleporter before you start it will loop your run and send you back to stage 1 with all of your items. You'll get to make this decision again on stage 10. You can also go under the map here and enter a code, which are hidden throughout the game, to go to Bulwark's Ambry for a challenge. An artifact key will spawn. You'll have to kill enemies until they drop keys that will damage this thingy-mabob in the center. After you leave, your run will loop. And just a quick tip, if you're having trouble finding the teleporter, it never spawns right next to the player, so remember where you spawned and look at the other end of the map for it. There are 6 types of items. White items are the most common, green are uncommon, red are rare, yellow items only drop during teleporter events and all correspond to specific bosses. Their effects will relate in some way to its boss counterpart. Blue items are lunar. They give the player a massive buff, but they also apply a debuff of some kind. They're bought with lunar coins from pods or the Mul-t shop in the bazaar. And orange items are equipment. They basically act as an extra ability for every survivor. Items from chests have 3 tiers, white, green, and red. These small chests have an 80% chance for a white, 19% for a green, and 1% for a red. Big chests cost twice as much, but they have an 80% chance for a green and a 20% chance for a red. There's also item category specific chests. Green ones will always give healing, red ones will always give attack related items, and purple ones will always give you utility items. If you're ever unsure of what a chest is, ping it and it will tell you. There are multi-shops that will give you the choice of 3 items, and adaptive chests which cycle through items and let you stop it when you see what you want. There are also equipment barrels which give you random equipment. There's cloak chests and legendary chests. Cloak chests are invisible chests that appear when you walk over them. Legendary chests always give you red items. They're really rare, but they're guaranteed on Abyssal Depths and Sundered Grove. I know this might sound a little overwhelming, but it doesn't take long to memorize this. There's also scrappers and 3D printers. Scrappers will let you choose all of an item to get rid of in exchange for scrap of the same rarity. Scrap can be used at 3D printers to get the showcased item. You can also use 3D printers without scrap, but it trades it for a random item of the same rarity, so be careful. You'll also be finding shrines. Shrines of Chance cost a lower amount than chests, but have a 45% chance to give you nothing. Shrines of Combat spawn enemies. Shrine of the Woods creates a healing circle. Shrine of Order stacks all of your items of each rarity into one item. It's honestly more of a meme, it's rarely if ever useful. And Shrines of Combat make the boss harder, but offer more of a reward when it's beaten. I forgot to mention there's also Shrines of Blood, which sacrifice health for a little bit of extra gold.
I've never been autistic. I work 40 hours a week to support my parents. This has all been a trick. You have been trolled.
Difficulty is a little confusing in this game. There's the base difficulty, which it gives you a description for in the game, but there's also the in-game difficulty, which goes up passively with time, but it makes big jumps each time you finish a stage. A massive misconception, and to be honest, the reason I'm making this video is because for some reason, it's generally accepted that spending more time on a given stage will make the game harder. Spending more time on a stage will make the difficulty increase, however, that does not mean it will make the game harder. If you hear somebody tell you you need to spend X amount of minutes on each stage for best results, they're wrong. Just flat out wrong. A, there isn't a best way to play this game, playstyles vary, and a lot of factors go into each run. And B, because difficulty also jumps with stage completion, for beginners, I would highly recommend you take your time and get what you need, but it's still best to go as quick about it as possible. It's not as many items as you can get in the lowest amount of time. Time is a factor in difficulty, but time does not equal difficulty. It's pretty much always worth it to go back and open chests after you've completed the teleporter. Think about it like this. On stage 1, if you go straight to the teleporter without picking up any items, the boss is going to be much harder even though the in-game difficulty is lower. This is a very extreme example, but my point is this. As a general rule, items make you stronger faster than time makes you weaker. I hope that made sense. I know a lot of people won't believe me, but it's true.
Poggers!
Bandit is unlocked by beating stage 3, not much else to say. Mul-t is unlocked by doing the first teleporter 5 times, and Engineer is unlocked by doing 30 stages. You'll unlock both of these just by playing. Captain is unlocked by beating the game, pretty straightforward. Mercenary is unlocked by obliterating at the obelisk. To do this, loop your run and go through the teal teleporter on stage 8. But the rest of them aren't as simple. Artificer is unlocked by using 10 lunar coins in the bazaar. Lunar coins are just randomly dropped, and to get to the bazaar, you have to activate a Newt altar, which costs 1 lunar coin. If you want the locations for every Newt altar in the game, skip to this timestamp. Loader is unlocked by defeating the alloy worship unit on Sirens Call. To do this, there are eggs hidden around the map that you'll have to shoot. There's like 20 locations, so I'm not going to go through them all, but they shouldn't be too hard to find. Once you do this, a boss will spawn, and once you defeat it, Loader will be unlocked, and you'll also get a red item for every person in your game. You can get a guaranteed red on every stage 4. Skip to this timestamp for locations. To unlock Rex, at the very beginning of your game, go to the back of the drop pod and grab the fuel array. This acts as equipment, so don't trade it. Also, if you get below 50% health, the game will pimp slap you, so don't do that. You'll have to make it to Abyssal Depths as your stage 4. Because stage 4 has 3 variants, to make it easier on yourself, make sure you have 4 lunar coins and activate a Newt altar on stage 3. Timestamp on screen for its locations on both maps. And pick Abyssal Depths in the bazaar when it appears. If it doesn't, don't pick anything and just go back through the portal. You'll have a 33% chance to get it. Once in Abyssal Depths, come up here and put the fuel array into this robot, and bing bada boom, Rex is your property. And Acrid is unlocked by completing the void fields. From the bazaar, go to the bottom of the map and you should see a cave. At the bottom of the cave is a portal. Go through it and you'll be in the void fields. The void fields have 9 mini teleporter events and you'll have to charge the cells. Once you've completed this, you won't be able to get rid of Acrid. I'm sorry. There's also one secret character you can unlock by getting all of the Heresy lunar items. I don't want to spoil anything, but that's how you do it. And that's all of them at the time of making this video. I'll make another video when the DLC drops. Here's my number 1 tip for beginners that are having trouble learning what every item does. Use the Better UI and Item Stats mod if you're on PC. The in-game descriptions for some items are pretty vague and unhelpful for new players. The Item Stats mod is really helpful for new players. These mods basically let you play the game without looking at the wiki every 10 seconds. Mods are really easy to install for this game. The mod manager for this game is great. I'll leave a link in the description for the mod manager and the mods I recommend. As far as items go, I'm not going to sit here and tell you which ones are best because there's so many factors that go into what makes an item good or bad, and it changes from run to run. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this video, it's this. It's literally impossible to make an objective tier list with this game. Every item has a situation it's best in, and tier lists leave little room for nuance. On screen now are the items and equipment categorized into specific functions to help you better understand them. For example, if you keep dying because you're too slow, look at the mobility list. If you keep dying because you're not doing enough area of effect damage, look at the proc list. I'm not including every item, I'm excluding a few that don't really fit into any category, but this is most of them, and I'm working on a video that will go more in depth with items and what you should prioritize. Because I can't cover it here without the video being like 5 hours long. But I'll now go into which challenges unlock the most helpful items for new players, and some confusing ones that you'll probably have to look up to do. Challenge 1, Learning Process. Pretty easy, just die 5 times. Tougher times gives a chance to negate all damage. Here's the list of how they stack. The only other white item I would tell a beginner to unlock immediately is Paul's Goat Hoof with the challenge This is Bugged. This is a Shrine of Chance, just get unlucky 3 times in a row, and bing bada boom. Go hooves basically just increase your movement speed, which is always helpful. Another one I would recommend doing early is Prismatically Aligned. For this, you have to do a Prismatic Trial, which can be found in the alternate game modes from the main menu. Prismatic Trials are really hit or miss. Sometimes they're easy, but sometimes it's a more reasonable request to dodge raindrops in a thunderstorm. If you can't do it, just check back once it's reset, but get this done as you're unlocking everything else. Harvester's Scythe is an amazing healing item as long as you have a few Lensmaker glasses. The next one is Death Do Us Part. This challenge unlocks 2 of the strongest items in the game. To do it, you need to be on Abandoned Aqueducts, which is a variant of Stage 2. Hidden around the map will be 2 pressure plates in random predetermined spots. Here are all 8 of the locations. There's one in this little cranny under the big arch. There's one next to this rock near the last one. There's one across the trench in the same area. There's one up against the wall next to this rock. There's one hidden in this bush. There's one against the wall in this cliff area. There's one slightly above it near the bottom of this slope. And the last one is next to the hole in this area. To do the challenge, you need to have both of the pressure plates activated at the same time. There are a few ways to go about this. You can have a friend stand on one while you stand on the other, or if you're a friendless loser like me, you can use Captain or Engineer to put something on the plates. If you're a little more advanced, you can sometimes push pots onto the plates, but I would recommend doing this after you've already done the TP because monsters will destroy it. Once both plates have been pressed, you'll get a message that says an ancient gate has been shifted. Go to this part of the map and go into the cave, and you'll have to fight 2 Elder Lumerians. Upon defeating them, they'll drop both elemental bands, and you'll have the challenge completed. Even after you've got this challenge done, you can do this anytime. These are some of the strongest items in the game, and they can really save a run. Always do this if reasonable. The Long Road is a challenge I suggest you do very early on for 2 reasons. A, it unlocks one of the most powerful items in the game, and B, you'll most likely unlock a ton of other challenges while doing it. Keyed Up, Rapid Fire, Going Fast recommended, Deja Vu, Macho, Never Back Down, Blockade Breaker, Funded, and Bookworm, and probably a few more challenges will most likely be unlocked while you're doing this. I know 20 stages can feel like a grind, but I did over 1,000, so buck up. The next challenge is Her Concept. To do this, go to this spot in Wetland Aspect and drop down over here. It helps if you play as a more limber creature, so you don't go past it. Go through this cave and shoot the skeleton at the end, and in my opinion, you've just unlocked Nukahanya's opinion. Again, I apologize for this reprehensible behavior. Newtist is a challenge where you have to find and use 8 different Newt altars. Because this information will be pertinent for many reasons, skip to this timestamp where I show you every location in the game. The only lunar challenge I'm going to mention is the demons and the crabs. This challenge sucks, just flat out. It's not hard, it's just a pain in the ass. The best way to do this is by looping your run and getting Titanic Plains as stage 6. And to make them commit not live, you just gotta damage them and they'll run away from you. You can also use the Primordial Cube to push them around a little bit, but be careful not to proc them. You can just farm here for a while. They'll spawn infinitely as long as you don't do the teleporter. If you're doing this challenge, I feel your pain, and I'm sorry for what you're going through. The challenge Redacted is done by speedrunning to stage 3, specifically Rallypoint Delta, and opening the time chest in under 10 minutes. There are 3 locations, on the top of the hill here, inside this big crate, and on the side of the hill here. And the last item challenge I want to go over is Blackout. To do this, you'll have to defeat the Gilded Coast enemy in 1 cycle. This equipment has its uses, but it isn't great. I put it here mainly to explain how to get to the Gilded Coast. Either buy this gold shrine or select the green place in the bazaar. Once you get here, you'll have to farm monsters to buy these shrines. Once you buy enough, the boss will be vulnerable for a limited time. To beat this one, especially if you have some armor-piercing rounds, wedding bands, or just any good DPS items, just go there late game and you should be fine. I'm not going to go through every Newt altar location in the game, of which there are 39. I'll leave timestamps if you want to skip to a specific stage. On Titanic Plains, there's one behind the arches. There's one on top of this little plateau. There's one on top of the arches. On the alternate version of the map, there's one under this little bridge here. There's one kind of in the corner of the map off to the side. There's one on the lower part of the arch here, and there's also one on top of the same arch. On Distant Roost, there's one below the map near the bridge area. There's one at the back of the annex behind a rock. There's one in this little gate area next to the fallen pillar. On the alternate version of the map, there's one hidden in the corner of this arch. There's one next to the entrance of the map, and there's one under this little arch here in the center. On Abandoned Aqueduct, there's one next to this arch. You'll need mobility items to get to this one. There's one in this little cliff next to the whole part of the map. And then there's one inside the skeleton if you take the path I take in the video. This will always spawn, it's guaranteed. On Wetland Aspect, there's one in the water here. There's one at the top on this little mountain, and the last one is on this pillar. On Rallypoint Delta, there's one behind this tree. There's one behind this rock next to the big crates. And there's one way up on the cliff inside this crate. You'll have to have a lot of mobility to get to this one, but this one will also spawn in every game. On Scorched Acres, there's one behind this tree. There's one on the lower part of the map here. And there's one way back out of bounds. You need to have a lot of mobility to get to this one, but it is also constant. On Abyssal Depths, there's one on top of the crystal in the open part of the map. There's one in this little cranny on top of the cave in the open part of the map. And there's one in the cave hidden in these crystals. On Sirens Call, there's one next to this big hula hoop thing. There's one inside the cave. If you go down, you can see it at the bottom. And there's one way at the top of the map on this little crate thing. On Sundered Grove, there's one on top of the tree. There's one inside the middle of this fallen tree. And there's one at the bottom of the map on top of this root. Sky Meadow has 5 locations. There's one in the corner next to the artifact teleporter. There's one on this little ramp here in the center of the map. There's another one next to this artifact teleporter hole. There's one next to the little geyser thing that you shoot up. And the last one is in this corner kind of near the last one. And finally, I will now show you all the legendary chest locations on stage 4. Like I mentioned earlier, you get the guaranteed red on Sirens Call by beating the Alloy Worship unit, but the other 2 variants of stage 4 have reds in legendary chests. The Abyssal Depths one is easy. It will always be here under the giant rock in the open part of the map. Sundered Grove has 5 locations. There's one on the big root at the back of the map. There's one at the top of the big tree in the center of the map. There's one in the side of this cliff. There's one in the mushroom platform area. And the last one is in this little alcove near the big tree. Mushrooms will also spawn around the chest locations, so you don't need to look directly in these spots, just look for the mushrooms.
You wanna suck?
And that's it. There's a few things I left out of this video so it didn't feel too bloated. For instance, Survivor loadout unlocks, and I didn't include a ton of gameplay tips because I wanted this video to be as objective as possible. I'll make more videos in future that go more into the nitty-gritty of this game, especially because there's a metric butt-ton of misinformation about this game. Play the game how you want. The great thing about this game is there's a million different ways to play it. Every item and loadout has its purpose, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. If you learned anything in this video, leave a like. It would help me out and know you want more content like this in the future. If you have any questions, leave a comment. Or better yet, you can ask me live on Twitch. I stream almost every day, so come check it out. I'm gonna go strip at my local Denny's. Have a good day.